Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. Beware the fall invaders, ladybugs, box elder bugs, and the appropriately named stink bugs, all trying to winter at your home like it's some sort of timeshare at Boca. Keep them out, kill them. Do what I do. Get the Vol Invader treatment from Southeast Termite and Pest Control, southeasttermite.com to learn more. All right, welcome in the last member of our panel today, right here, former Vol quarterback Sterling Hinton. And of course, you could for the 101,000 who were there last night, you saw and heard this guy very much throughout the entire game. Sterling, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here, John P.
Let's talk a little bit about the Gators. We've got a graphic to put up here if we can. I think we got it. There we go. As you can see, they beat Utah, which surprised everyone. We're thinking, man, they got talent. Then they lose to Kentucky and look bad doing it. Barely got by USF last night, and USF took it to them for much of that game. But look at the bottom. Through 3 games, Florida's averaging fewer points per game than their opponents. They've given up more first downs than they've achieved on offense. Rushing yards per game, they're averaging 212, but their opponents are averaging 195. Passing yards per game, they're only at 141 per game, which is terrible. Their opponents are throwing for 30 more yards a game, almost 40. Third down percentage, this is the conversions on offense. They're converting fewer than 40%. Their opponents converting almost 50%. Okay, I can read the numbers. I see what's happening. They're ripe for the picking. Jimmy, should Vol fans be confident that this is the year Tennessee snaps a 5-game losing streak to Florida?
Tennessee fans should be confident that Anthony Richardson will play like Cam Newton. Tennessee fans should be confident that Florida will play like it did against Utah, not against Kentucky or South Florida. That's what Tennessee fans should be confident of. Now, if I'm a Tennessee fan, do I feel good about Tennessee's chances to win? Yes. But you've lost 16 of the last 17. I've seen this movie before. I expect Florida to play very well. Can Tennessee answer the bell and do that? I think they can, but, man, don't be overconfident.
Don't be overconfident.
Feel good about your chances, but don't put this one in the bag.
If I'm, I know what Josh Heupel will be doing. He'll be showing all the game tape from that Utah game. And I think that's what I would tell Vol fans to do. But it's hard to ignore their last 2 weeks. Anthony Richardson looked great in week 1, and boy, the last couple games, Sterling, we were talking about Joe Milton earlier in the show about how he has improved from last year. Okay. Richardson kind of reminds me of Joe Milton last year in that he's a freakish athlete that doesn't seem to be a real good quarterback at this point. Thoughts on Anthony Richardson?
Well, he's first of all, I'm echo what you just. He's an awesome athlete, incredible athlete, incredible talent. You know, and being a quarterback, it takes time. You know, so he's got to get more reps at the position. You know, he's got to learn the nuances of his teammates, his receivers, and guys on the field. But you know, and we've seen the evolution of Big Joe, what he's from last year to this year, and I think it just takes time for some people. And we're blessed we have 2 quality guys at an important position. But as far as being confident for next week, absolutely confident we're going to win next week. That's
Marlon, confidence next week.
I would say Tennessee to Florida is sort of what we think of Kentucky. Regardless, Kentucky can go 10-0 and then come down to that Tennessee game, and in our minds, it's still Kentucky. So you're going to see a really good football team come in here. I think they've struggled, but at the same time, you've got to throw that out. It's Tennessee versus Florida, prime time in Neyland Stadium. They're going to show up and be ready to play. Yeah. Like you said, you're going to see more of Utah, Florida, than you will see USF, Florida come next week.
Does their schedule give them any kind of help, Jimmy, in the fact that Utah's a good team? Kentucky's got a really good defense. USF, that's not a bad program, but it's also an in-state thing, and they're finally getting a shot at Florida, whereas you've played 2 complete tin cans and a Pitt team that you knocked their quarterback out, but the second half, if they hit a field goal, is their schedule, does that lean in Florida's favor, or does it matter?
I don't think it matters. I just think it's how you play that particular day. I mean, A&M loses to Appalachian State. I guess that got them ready for Miami.
Yeah.
I just think each game is unto itself.
And then Appy State has to throw a Hail Mary to beat Troy.
Yeah, the next week. So I don't think it matters.
Very good. All right. We do a segment every week called Odds and Trends where we throw out A little information for Chuck here. Some gambling stuff. Tennessee versus Florida at Neyland Stadium. In the last 10 games, they're 2-8 against Florida. 3-6-1 against the spread, the Vols are. 5-5 in the over-under line. Tennessee versus Florida as a home favorite. 2-3 overall in the last 5, but only 1-4 against the spread in those games when they're a home favorite. Florida, meanwhile, 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 games as a road dog in September. Chuck Cavaleris, I'm guessing they're going to be a road dog next week.
Yeah, you would just about have to, John. I was looking at what came out as far as the early line this morning. The first I saw was Tennessee -4, a 4-point favorite. I also saw 4.5. This is interesting. On another site, I saw -7. So that tells me one thing to look at right away would be the money line. The money line's where you just pick the winner. And here's some more interesting numbers too that shows you just how dominant Florida has been in this, and how, even in the past, all of those games, when Tennessee is losing by an average of 31-17 over this bad streak against Florida, and the last 4, 38-14, I tell you what, that makes you look at it's a big trend you got to change. I will say one thing. I disagree a little bit in that this is Florida's first road game of the season. It's a new staff. The communication with all of the noise in Neyland Stadium. So when you look at all these factors, probably looking is it close to a 1-possession game. The total, I was surprised by this, John. The past 10 games, I have the average total points scored as just 50 points. That's kind of a head scratcher too. So we'll be talking to our boys in the desert and getting more information. And when we get back with the show, we'll have the Cavaleris line and see where things go from there.
All right, very good, Chuck. When we get, did you hear that about the noise, Sterling? You're going to have a hand in getting people ready?
We're going to break the decibel barrier, baby. It's going down.
I'm confident in the noise level.
When we come back, Josh Heupel and his staff got raises and extensions this week. Smart move, or is Tennessee jumping the gun again? We'll discuss that. Come on back on the Sports Source.